All right. This is EDT 8130, Making Online Courses Interactive. Today's date is January 21st, 2017. Class begins at 1 o'clock Saturdays. Just a couple reminders to set up your audio setup wizard before you start. Put your hand down whenever you enter the room. It's the third icon above everybody's names. And we'll start by removing distractions. So turn off your phone, shut the door, put a do not disturb sign on the door, and let's focus on our time together. First thing we're going to do is do a quality check. So give me a green check if you can see the red record in the upper right corner. All right. Give me a green check if you can see the quality check words at the top. Thank you. And give me a green check if you can hear me sufficiently. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Just welcome to class for those of you listening online, live, and virtual students. Today's class we're going over chapters 4 to 6, which is over the 3 presences from COI. And we're going to discuss the ways to implement the presences in your career. The content still relies on the book E-Learning in the 21st Century, and that's where most of the material's from. And we're going to start with the triggering phase. Okay. First thing is our objectives today. By the end of the session, we'll be able to describe how to apply the 3 presences to real-world situations and determine how to balance the 3 presences in e-learning. So we're going to begin with an icebreaker. We're going to think of the last time we did like a group project in school, and we're going to think about how we felt about them, loved it, hated it, things like that. I'll let you go ahead and type 2 of the words on the page. So here's a blank page. We can just use the text typing tool and type how we felt. For example, I might put overworked because I feel like it's always a lot of work, and sometimes it's a little unfair. So that's what I'm going to type. Let me know if you have any issues with that. All right, so there we go, difficult. It's a good descriptive word. One-sided. Yeah, and it's not always fair because sometimes everybody gets the same grade, but they did less work or more work. So it's just something to think about for the future. All right. So next we are going to go ahead and answer this poll question. In your opinion, how useful are group presentations at measuring true learning? So we're going to choose A, B, C, or D, and then I'll publish the results in a minute. You put very useful, somewhat useful, not very useful, not at all useful. All right. All right, here are the results. A lot of people, I would have probably said somewhat useful. I think it just depends on what we're going over. You know, is it a presentation of material to the whole class and then you're assessing their learning? It just kind of depends on what we're doing. So keep that in mind as we go throughout the course. Maybe we'll get some better ideas on how to make it fully effective. All right. So we're going to start by exploring the content. The first part is reviewing the COI framework. We have the 3 people that discovered it. Garrison, Anderson, and Archer developed the 3 ways to manage thinking and learning collaboratively with the 3 presences. We have the teaching presence, social presence, and the cognitive presence that work together to give the best educational experience. First off, we're going to start with the social presence. So a welcoming learning environment leads to building a community that values learning and collaborating. In order to work together, you have to build a trusting community, and this can be difficult online. So you need to keep your communication focused on academics so students can express themselves in writing with the content and, providing some disclosure on their opinions. They have to have open communication with the teacher and with students, give compliments, provide discourse and discussions. And lastly, you need to think about, we as a group instead of individually, because it's driven by a group identity focused towards the content. And then the relationships can kind of build from there. So keep this in mind. The overall goal is still to provide meaningful learning. For me, I'm a teacher, so it's important for me to focus on modeling to students what their responses should be and continue to discuss any successes or issues we have throughout the class. Okay, so I want us to type something that we could do to make sure that online learning helps build communication. A lot of communication is nonverbal, so think of an idea that could help build those skills. They did talk about them in the book, and we use them all the time in class. So type on in. If you're listening at home, you can always write that down on your summary. All right, so far we have online discussions. Those are good. You can start those. Video chats. Those are good ways of working together. And you can actually see people, so you might get some body language off of those. Oh, capitalization, punctuation, those are important, and emoticons, yeah. Those are all really important things. I agree with all that. All right. Moving on to the next presence, the cognitive presence, generates new knowledge for critical thinking and discourse. So a collaborative learning environment helps develop skills for critical thinking, using their own ideas and views, so they build off existing knowledge. Discourse is provided to check for like irrational thoughts or anything and provide feedback in a positive way. And when you critically examine an idea, students can develop metacognition to check their own learning. So we have like shared metacognition with the group through collaboration, and over time you can kind of self-regulate and co-regulate together to monitor awareness and manage your actions. The other thing that's important is practical inquiry. So there's the 4 phases that we're actually using today. We have the triggering event in this corner right here. That is used to engage learners on important concepts. After that, we have the exploration. This is where we explore a problem, use reflection. Integration is where we decide how to use the context in the real world, in the real world, and where meaning making is done. And then we have resolution, where the phase is resolving the issue through actions. All right, so for self-reflection, how can you develop effective shared metacognition in your career or in an online course? Either way, like for me, I like to make sure students are sharing their ideas in class, either before or after class. Go ahead, and we're going to share out loud. So I'll give you like a couple seconds to think, and I'll just go in order, starting with Brittany. So you can hop on whenever you're ready.
The first thing that came to my mind was like a think, pair, share in class, or like a buddy system, so like pairing high and low students and having them work together.
All right, I've definitely done that. That's a good idea. Nick?
So when I thought of this, I thought about like trainings that I develop for faculty for face-to-face, and they share a lot of feedback to me, so I can just keep reviewing my my workshops that I create and develop and improving on those based on feedback from evaluations.
All right, good. Excellent. All right, we're going to go to the last presence, the teaching presence. This is where the teachers give a purpose to the learning and collaborate with the students to focus on the learning. Remember, it's learning focused, not the learner focused all the time. So it can be challenging. So teachers have to monitor and manage everything, engage the learner, collaborate with students, guide them to what the teacher desires for the learning outcomes. You have to create the learning community and sustain it by checking on their progress towards their goals. The teacher has to find a balance between being over-involved and taking kind of a back seat. So you want to make sure students are still working together, but not overworking. And then you guide the students through direct instruction. So that would be like if there's a specific issue, misconception, you go over that. You can also do like summaries, provide questions to prompt students, or use media like videos and articles to get different points of view and contrast them. For school, personally, I found this cool online website that has video clips that present a problem, and then they don't really specifically give you the problem. Then the next video, they give you what they want to know, and then the next video is how to solve it, but the kids have to think through it. It helps me think of what kids are thinking about and what misconceptions they have so I can go over it, and it also engages the learner. All right. Speaking of teaching presence, use the pointer tool. It's the second one down on the whiteboard tool. There's the little arrow. You can point to who you think has more responsibilities in the teaching presence, either the teacher or the student, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so definitely an important tool would be, or important person would be the teacher, because they have to set the clear expectations, allow for students to give discourse and facilitate learning, and engage learners. And students also have a responsibility to provide discourse and share ideas and collaborate. So it's kind of hard to choose one. I mean, the book definitely says both have a shared responsibility and role. So I could definitely see where everybody's coming from. All right, so we're going to talk about integration. So how do you plan to build a community of learners in all the aspects of your career? So we kind of talked about how to do this cognitively and socially. So think about what you could do. And like for me, I could create maybe some online things. We use a lot of online work for my math class, maybe a blended learning environment. Or maybe we train together in professional development. We could pull our resource together. So go ahead and just take a minute and think. We're not going to share for time. Just give me a smiley face if you've thought of an idea that's above everybody's names using the emoticons. Smiley face. All right. Good. Moving on to the resolution phase. I'm going to kind of summarize everything. We all know that all the three presences are important. They also do a lot of overlapping, and they improve the effectiveness of the other presences. They work together. So like the social presence allows for students to look beyond their own points of view, and that leads into the cognitive part where you check on other people's thinking, and you can argue, provide discourse, and reflect on your own thinking. And then the socialization kind of occurs naturally. And then the teaching presence overlooks both to create the positive environment so that everybody can think and be aware and use inquiry. All right, for the assessment, we're just going to answer this using ABCD. How can we use group work more effectively in our careers and online courses? I think this should be pretty easy. Should you use social, cognitive, teaching, or mix all three? So go ahead and answer that. Obviously, this is, yeah. All right. Everybody said you definitely want to mix all three, and you've got to kind of find that balance. All right. Lastly, we are going to, anybody have any questions or issues, let me know. If anybody has any questions right now, if not, just know that I'm available to email at a later time. If you're listening at home, same thing. Shoot me an email. If we don't have any questions, that's pretty much it. And thanks for listening and participating.